If you're like me and you incorporate literacy into your speech and language intervention, into your groups, this episode is a treat for you. I'm going to share with you today my 5 hacks that I use when it comes to literacy to improve early language development. So this is an episode for you if you work with young elementary age children or if you work with preschool age children. I am going to look at the latest research. This is a scoping review. I'll talk about what a scoping review is in a moment, but this is a scoping review of over 1,000 studies, and then they narrowed that down to 106 studies. And what they wanted to see is what were some recurring themes in this research where they found that if you use these strategies, you're going to enhance language development. Now, before I continue on, I want you to be aware of what you're reading. I want you to be a critical reader and understand that a scoping review is not the same thing as a systematic review, or definitely not the same thing as a meta-analytic review. So what a scoping review is basically where they gather up as much research, or peer-reviewed research in this case, that they could find on the topic of reading aloud and early language development. Then I think of it as telescoped it down based on the population. So they said, we want to look at preschool age and early elementary age grades. That's going to be the population of studies we look at. Let's get rid of all the rest. And then they said, let's look at the context. We're going to look at it at preschool age and school age, early school age, and we'll get rid of all of the rest. And then they say, let's look at the concepts. Let's look at how these literacy strategies connected to early language development. And let's get rid of all of the rest. So when they had that initial 1,100 or so studies, and then they narrowed it down to 106, they were looking at it based on the population, based on the context, and based on the concept, known as PCC. So this is not as rigorous in terms of research as what you would find in meta-analysis, where they're looking at statistical differences that generalize to your back porch. Or it's not the same as they would look at if the research was intended a systematic review, in which they made the rules up ahead of time. They said, we're only going to accept these research studies where you have an alternative intervention group or random controlled trials. And we're only going to accept research studies where the researcher was blind to the study's purpose. So all of these, I would say probably these gates were not in place in advance. Instead, they said, let's get everything we can on this topic, and then we're going to go ahead and hone it down to a specific population, a specific context and concept. So within these studies, this pile of research that I'm sharing with you, you could have a study that's based on 2 children. You could also have a study that's based on 200 children that's random controlled trials. We really don't know what studies were included as this article is distributed. So I think of this article as an idea article in which they said, okay, there were studies and we did find these recurring themes in these studies, small and large, that said, and we don't know what these studies were because it's not listed what was included. So we can't go to the original source to really critically view these studies, but we're just getting ideas here. So it's nice to sometimes look at a study like this in which they came up with 11, and it's really nice, and it's a nice infographic here. So they came up with 11 different recurring themes. These 11 different strategies were associated with improved early language development when it came to read aloud, when it came to shared reading experiences, either in a group or in a one-on-one setting or in a small group setting. So these were strategies that were associated with stronger language development. Now, I took those 11 strategies and I put it down to 5, my 5 key strategies. It's also based on what is in this article here that I go to on a habitual basis. This is what I do day in and day out. Like Aristotle says, excellence is not a singular act. It is in the habits that you repeatedly do. So these are my repeated literacy habits, my go-tos. If you are a SIS member, you're going to know these habits because this is what you're doing each and every day in therapy. So the first one is the books I pick. the books I pick are very repetitive and very predictable. And the reason for that, and as supported in this review, is that allows the child to engage at a higher level. So for instance, this week, the two books I have is The Gingerbread Man. And the gingerbread man comes across the old lady, he comes across the old man, he comes across the pig, the cow, the horse, the fox, and it's the same run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. So what happens is the children are singing, run, run as fast as you can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. They're actively participating in the literacy experience. They are enjoying books. They're developing a love for learning. This emergent literacy is so important. Do I care if they know what color is the gingerbread man? Where is the gingerbread man? Those simple fact quizzing questions? No. What I care is that these children are actively participating in the book reading experience and they're enjoying it. I want to develop a love for reading. So that is my criteria number one when it comes to what books I'm selecting. When it comes to our SIS activities, it comes to what book is the most enjoyable and engaging for our kiddos that all children are going to engage in. So oftentimes people find a book that they love and they'll go to a group with children of diverse learners and they're going to say, okay, this is my favorite book. Let's read this book. But only a few children in the group actually have the attention or the language capacity to follow along with that book. So what a better thing to do is to find a book that everyone's going to enjoy. So when you want to read those heavier print, heavier narrative structure books, you can do that in the one-on-one, the one-to-pair, or the small group setting in which everyone is at that level. Everyone is at that level where they're able to engage throughout the story. But you don't want to do that in a mixed learner group. You want the book reading to be a very communal experience in which all children are actively participating and enjoying the experience. And the easiest way to do that is to pick the repetitive and predictable books. So for instance, even when I do social stories, when I write a social story, I use the brown bear, what do you see? I use that framework of that repetitive over and over again, and I change the character each time. And in my social stories, I'll use what characters the children love. So if the child, for instance, they love Paw Patrol characters, I will use a different Paw Patrol character to state the rule that the child, I want to underscore with the child over and over again. Marshall, what do you see? And then Marshall will say, I see so-and-so sitting on the leaf, okay, now we're going to do Chase. Chase, what do you see? I hope I don't break any copyright laws here. I see, and then that child doing the behavior we want that child to do. Highly effective. So I'll take, this is what the child loves. I will spin it into a brown bear format for the social story, and then I'll go ahead and change the character each time, and they're all going to state the desired behavior, and the child's going to see the picture of them engaging in that desired behavior. The child's reading the book, I'm reading the book, it's a fun book, okay? So that is a great way, I think a better way to do social stories. Too often the social story, the message in the story is hidden in a lot of language. So you have, this is Nahu, they live here, blah, 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 blah. And then on one page, you're going to say, this is the desired behavior we want to see. And then they go to the end. Instead, every page is the desired behavior. And you use I call it the brown bear because everyone knows the brown bear book. You use that brown bear format, and you use their favorite characters. So the research indicates if you're working with children with autism, if you're working with children with attention deficit disorder, using their favorite characters is going to have a much greater impact than their neurotypical peers. So this is the times when I break copyright law, is when I'm making it an individualized book for my individualized clients. And I, of course, don't distribute that. Number 2. Okay, universal design for learning. So this is something they talk about all the time in the field of education where I'm getting my doctorate. It is everything. However, we rarely talk about it in the fields of speech pathology, which is unfortunate. And that is that you are presenting the material using multimodal communication. So when we're reading the books, for instance, in my SIS membership, you have the stickers that have the different props on it and Cocoa Puff big print. You have the name of it. You also have the sign that they're going to go to complete the narrative task in the book while they act it out. Then when they come back, they have a checklist and they're going to use that checklist and write on that as to what they've done. So what they're doing is they're doing multimodal communication. They're not only saying a book, in addition to the book, they're moving their body. In addition to the book, you're going to see the printed on the sticker that they're going to stick on. In addition to that, they're going to be writing. In addition to that, I oftentimes have the 3D animal that they're going to use. For instance, if we're doing the book, The Bear Goes Over the Mountain. So here they're holding a bear going over the mountain. They have the sticker with the bear. They have the word with the bear. They have the object of the bear. It's multimodal. You're learning through all of your senses. It's multisensory. And not only do children with autism or children with speech and language impairments, not only do they benefit from multimodal, but every child benefits from multimodal. So if you want the learning to occur at a quicker pace and you want them to remember what they learned, make it multimodal. Multimodal in how you present it and multimodal in how they express themselves. So that is the basis of the SIS membership. What I found with the SIS membership is the children with autism in particular were talking so much more. And that's because everything's in print. And many of my children with autism learn to talk not through their ears, but through their eyes, which is a stronger sensory processing area than the auditory. So we go ahead and we say, hey, all right, let's learn to talk through our eyes. We'll go through the back door. And we're gonna get to the point B. We're just taking a curvy road to get there instead of through the ears. The third strategy that I rely on, and this is a habit, and you're going to see it in the SIS membership, we do this, is to connect the book to the child's prior knowledge, prior experiences, to real world experiences. So for instance, if we have the Brown Bear book, we're going to go and connect it to the real world, and we're going to say, you're a zookeeper and you need to take the animals and make sure they get back in the zoo they got free. And you're going to go ahead and connect that book to a real world experience. You're going to bring it to life. So Whitehurst's dialogic reading strategies are not about asking fact-related questions as much as they are about connecting the book to bigger ideas, connecting the book to inferential thinking, connecting the book to causal thinking, connecting the book to thinking of how it connects to the real world. So some examples are to think about saying, I wonder, and saying, I wonder why this is occurring. I wonder how they're going to do this. I wonder when this is going to happen. Can you tell me about a time this has happened to you? So just really, instead of asking question, you can do it in a more indirect way by prefacing it with I wonder, and then throwing the WH or the how in. And if you don't feel comfortable with this, go to why, when, how, tell me, can you tell me, and about a time, and you're going to get much more complex responses, much more complex thinking. So stay away from the who, what, where, yes, no questions. These are the questions that are going to give you less complex responses, and the child's going to feel as if they're being quizzed. They're going to say, you know what color that is, you know where it is. Why are you asking me these non-authentic questions? So the fourth strategy that I habitually do is using these predictable routines with reading. So in my SIS membership, I follow a very predictable 4-step, or you might say 5-step process if we're using books, and I stick with it. And the reason I stick with it is because many of our children do not feel safe and secure. And when we give them these predictable routines, they're going to feel safe and secure. When they feel safe and secure, they're not in the fight, flight, freeze, fawn brain. They're in the higher level thinking brain. And I want them focusing on the language concepts. I want them focusing on the literacy concepts. I want to be more in this prefrontal cortex instead of this amygdala brain. So what I want to do is provide them with predictable routines so that all of their focus, their cognitive load, can be on the language and literacy concepts we're focusing on. So how do I do that? I follow a process. So in speech therapy, I always first we go ahead and we read our treatment target. So this could be in speech, this could be in language, this could be in augmentative communication. Then after that, we will read our book. Or if it's a song, we'll read the verse from the song. Then after that, we're going to pick a sticker. Then after that, we're going to match the sticker. And lastly, we're going to check the checklist. So I rinse and repeat, and we do it over and over and over and over again throughout a story. I follow this predictable routine because then the children their cognitive load is able to focus on their treatment target, they're able to focus on the book, they're able to focus on the language concepts and the interaction. What's really great for me at the SIS membership is that I'm going to go into the last one on this, is that I'm able to focus on the interaction. Now, that's the most important part. The reason I'm able to focus on the interaction is because I've created these extremely educationally rich activities. And with these educationally rich activities that are right at my fingertips, I'm able to use them with every client on my caseload. They're very engaging, they're very fun, they're very universal design for learning, multisensory, multimodal. So it's all ready. I look at it as this is my organic picnic basket filled with top shelf items. All I need to do is enjoy the experience. So when I have that all set up, what that means is I can focus on the interaction. So when I'm reading a book or when I'm singing a song, I'm all there. I'm 100% present. And when you're 100% present, that is when the magic is going to happen. So the enjoyable learning experience, my hack number 5, is the most important one. The magic often happens between us doing the treatment targets. The magic often happens, which is, oh, you're so fast, you're faster than the gingerbread man. So me singing the song where I'm singing the child's name, and Alex, run as fast as you can. You can't run as fast as the Alex man, whatever the child's name is. You are all in. You're 100% present, bringing that book to life, bringing that learning experience to life, bringing the speech therapy to life, and the child's enjoying themselves, and the child's dopamine levels through the roof because they're engaging in task-oriented movement activities. So that means they're going to remember what they learned. That means it's going to be more resistant to regression. So great things are happening. But that's all because you're 100% present. And why are you 100% present? The activity is already set. You have the engaging activity-rich, educationally rich activity at your fingertips. So what can you do? You can focus on the interaction. You can focus on dialing down if you're a little bit over the top for a child that is over the top. Like today in speech, I had a couple of kiddos that were just laughing too hard. They had a case of the giggles. They were so happy that I had to just really turn that thermostat knob way down and cool things off because it was way too hot in the speech therapy room. We were having way too much fun with these books and the movement and literacy activities. They were getting dysregulated. They were starting to squeal. They were laughing so loudly. And I was like, okay, this isn't Chuck E. Cheese. There's other kids in the hall across the way that are sleeping. Like, we've got to simmer down now, like they used to say on the Saturday Night Live skit. Simmer down now, simmer down now. So there's other times that I need to put more energy when children are just like falling off their chairs and I want to engage them. There's times when the cheerleader is going to come out and I need to up the thermostat. There's times where I need to meet the child where they are and match them. So maybe I need to speak more slowly and softly and not be so in their face. And I'm able to focus on that because I have everything at my fingertips. It's all set. I'm just able to focus on the child and sensitively responding to the child. And that is when the magic's going to happen. I think that if you're to focus on any of these 5 tips when it comes to reading, the most important one is the joy of reading, is that you are having positive interactions with that book. Everything else, I think, is just icing on the cake. The real thing is the interaction, and that you're making it, that the child's feeling joyful learning experiences, that the child's enjoying reading. So if a child loves reading, this child, that you're developing a lifelong love for reading. So it's all about the interaction. And the scoping review made a point of that. They were saying you can't put the child in front of a screen and have a book digitally read to a child. That's not going to improve language outcomes. The human factor matters here. The human factor beats AI. It's the interaction that matters. Remembering that when it comes to thinking about how quickly or slowly you're reading, thinking about how loud or soft you're reading, thinking about how much affect you have on your face or how much emotions you're showing when you're reading. So thinking about the child's temperament and how you're going to adjust to meet or to go up or go down based on how the child is responding on a moment-to-moment basis. That is where the magic happens. I think that out of those 5 hacks, the last one, the interaction, matters the most. And that's why I put a lot of work in developing activities that can be as fun as possible. And not only that, I put a lot of work behind the scenes to finding the books that could be sung, that could be danced to, that are super fun and that bring literacy to life. And not only that's why I put so much work into having everything done the Friday before, when I set up my 2 activities, to have them done and all the materials ready and at my fingertips. So I'm not in a million different directions, so that my cognitive load, so that it's all in the interaction, that I can focus on what matters, which is the child and how the child is feeling in that experience and how the child is responding, or that the child's responding and actively participating. So I want you to go ahead and take all of this information and do what you do best, which is to make the world a better place, one child at a time. You will always be first. And also, if you haven't joined the SIS membership yet, I recommend simply joining for a month, and then you can cancel after a month if you don't like it. And when you join, you get all the treatment targets. And the treatment targets are extremely powerful. The treatment targets is like the food to your well-being. What you eat matters about 80% of how healthy you're going to be. The treatment targets, when it comes to your outcomes, I would say from my years of experience, would probably account for 80% of how much outcomes you're going to make is your treatment target. So when you join, you get all of the treatment targets immediately. And then you can say, oh, this isn't for me, goodbye, or you can stick with it, but it's definitely worth the $47. So thank you. I'll see you next week.